Right, so now we've gone through what project management governance is, why it's so important. Now let's have a look of specific areas in project management and how governance help those particular areas. I mean, what is it that we mean when we put some governance around that particular area? Okay, so what does project management governance look like? Let's have a look at some key areas within project management and then see how governance actually helps those key areas. One of the major parts is creating some project management standards. How do we deliver projects and programs in this particular space? How do we do things around here? What is the process? What is the template? What is the decision making? What does the tools look like? How does this happen within this particular organization? Now, the particular governance that can be produced is one that of a project lifecycle or having project methodologies, project frameworks that have been tailored for that particular organization and for the various projects and programs that they deliver. So a piece of governance there would be that this is the kind of life cycle that you use in this particular case. These are the processes that come along with it. These are the templates that you must use. When you are delivering this particular project, these are the different decision-making forums that you need to go into. These are the tools that we expect you to use, and so on and so forth. So that is governance around that. This is how we govern the standards of project management and program management within our particular community. Business justification. So that's about really creating a process and having the right templates and, if necessary, tools to ensure that a business justification process appropriate for that particular project or program is going to be part and parcel of what they do. So there would be a template that would be applicable to that particular project. It might be that it's a different template if it's over £1,000 or over 5,000 or over 1,000,000. It doesn't matter what it is. It's about that organization sitting down and coming to an agreement as to how we are going to do business justification. Is it only going to be about creating a business case? Do we need to get finance involved? Do we need to get some experts in terms of calculating returns of investment? Do our project leads need to have that level of understanding? What is the governance around that? How are we going to come up with a process that we can make sure ensures that we can make sure that there's a right level of business justification rigor in what we're trying to deliver? Roles and responsibilities. That's about making sure that everyone within that project community has a view of what their role and what their responsibility is like. It might be for certain organizations that the project manager is accountable and responsible for all aspects of output delivery. But it might be you go to another organization and say, no, in this particular organization, what we do is the project manager is responsible for a certain area. The business change person is responsible for change management. The planner is responsible for plans, and so on and so forth. But it's about having, for that particular organization, all the roles and responsibilities detailed out with job specifications and person specifications, and the professionals within that particular space understanding and buying into those roles and responsibilities. Lessons learned. That's very much around continuous improvement, and building that in as part of governance means that there would be a process, there would be a log where all these lessons are learned. These would be booked into people's diaries. This is something that happens often and is reviewed. And it's not only that it happens for just project managers and their coordinators, but actually it's happening all the way from the top. So you have program directors and program leads. They are also facilitating these sessions and leading on them and ensuring that they happen. Knowledge management. This is when we have built as part of governance that mindset and commitment towards continuous professional development, which means that as an organization, we've invested in a learning management system. We have people within HR who are actively helping members of the project management community to engage and to continually ensure that their continuous professional development is a priority. So when we build that as part of governance, what we're saying is that this is very important. We need for you to keep up to date with what's happening in this particular area of project management or program management, and we want that level of commitment from you. And as such, we're building it in as part of the governance of how we do things around here. Risk management. Now that is pretty one of the key areas and pretty obvious when you think about it. But I can tell you there are a number of times when I've walked into an organization where there is obviously a risk strategy somewhere, but it's just not very obvious to to us as we are carrying out our duties on a daily basis. So what is important is that not only is there a risk management strategy for the entire organization, but it's visible, and then it is cascaded down into the project and the program delivery space. So it's coming out right from the top, and we're talking about things like scoring. We're talking about matrices. We're talking about when amber. If I say amber on this side of town, then amber in another side of town is the same thing. We are talking the same language when we're talking about scoring, and we're talking about ragging and all of that good stuff. So risk management, there needs to be a governance around that in terms of how we are scoring our risks, how we are managing them, the kind of mitigation plans we come up with, how we are logging them, how we are keeping an eye on them, and making sure that that is very much part of our day-to-day project management activity. And lastly, we have stakeholder engagement. How do we implement change? How do we ensure that these outputs and these outcomes that we are creating are actually being embedded in our organization? Now, when you are creating a product or a process for another organization and you've got to hand it over to them, then it becomes their responsibility to make sure that they are making that happen. But when it's happening, when you have a very sizable project management office within, and a large part of what they do is churning out change for your organization, then you've got to think about, how are we engaging our stakeholders? What are the governance processes around that? How are we making decisions? How are we analyzing their needs? How are we making sure that they are satisfied with the outputs and the outcomes that we are generating for the organization? So these 7 areas are very key elements of project management, and I've just given an overview of how we can put governance around them and make sure that our project management and program management outputs and outcomes are being governed in such a way that we can increase our return on investment, and we can increase the quality that we put out into our organizations. And these are very key elements of project management governance.